Something strange is going on with the Baltimore Ravens. We have a major update from Ravens GM Eric DeCosta about Ravens tight end Mark Andrews. What is going on, everyone? My name is Sam Stewart. Welcome to Ravens Digest. Hope everyone is doing well today. Today we're going to dive into Mark Andrews and what the team should do with him as we approach this upcoming season, and of course the draft that is just 1 week away now. So before we get started, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the channel. How often do you get to be one of the first 100 subscribers on a YouTube channel? We're going to have all your Ravens updates throughout draft day, as well as all of your Ravens updates once the preseason gets rolling. And then, of course, in season, we'll have all of your pregame coverage and game recaps as well. So let's go ahead and dive into today's topic, which is Mark Andrews and the upcoming situation that the Ravens face this year concerning him. So, Mark Andrews, as we know, obviously had a couple of tough moments in the playoff game versus the Buffalo Bills. Now, a lot of people are going to think about this moment. They're going to think about this moment as well as two of the moments that led to the Ravens' downfall against the Bills and prevented them from heading to the AFC Championship game to face the Chiefs. But there was lots of other moments as well. And Lamar Jackson obviously had that interception in the first half. But these were two pivotal moments that will definitely stick in the minds of us Ravens fans for quite some time. So we remember the reactions that everyone had at this moment. People said it was not on Lamar, even though there was quite a few mistakes that Lamar probably wishes he could have back from that first half in that game. Stephen A. Smith sums it up well in this tweet right here. This is not on Lamar Jackson. He did his job. Unfortunately, the great Mark Andrews, who hasn't lost a fumble since 2019 and doesn't drop passes, got stripped for a fumble and then dropped a 2-point conversion that would have tied the game with under 2 minutes left. Tragic. Now, whether or not the Bills would have drove down and scored is up for debate, and something that we honestly don't need to go over because that is not what happened, and hindsight is 2020. So, with all this in mind, with the way that the NFL is a what have you done for me lately business, a lot of people have been thinking Mark Andrews' situation going forward into this year. So, this is a great article from Nick Shook, and what this article explores is not necessarily whether or not Mark Andrews is the best player to continue at the tight end position, although we have seen the rise of Isaiah Likely. There are a lot of great points about the cap space that are mentioned in this article. And one thing that's important to bring up as we take a look at Andrews' stats from last year is that the Ravens have actually not traded someone during the draft since 2022 when Marquise Brown was moved to Arizona in a first-round move that eventually resulted in the Ravens picking Tyler Linderbaum. From Eric DeCosta, though, today, he says he's a great player and we're in the business of keeping as many great players as we can. So there's always a lot of unpredictability with the draft. You just never know. I don't think we've traded many of our own players. Have we ever made a trade during the draft where we traded one of our players? Well, as we just spoke about, yes. In fact, the Ravens did. However, in response to the idea that he had traded Brown during that first round, during draft night, he actually stated, DeCosta did, that the move had been made leading up to draft week at the start of that week. It was not made during that night. But as we know, the effect of that drop is going to linger in some people's minds. But more importantly, the effect of the salary cap situation of the Baltimore Ravens. Let's go ahead and take a look at this quote from Bleacher Report. Cutting Mark Andrews would be a shocking move. The 29-year-old tight end has been with the franchise since he was drafted in 2018, and he's been a pivotal part of the offense ever since. The only reason this could be a real consideration is that the Ravens are going to be tight against the cap, and moving on from Andrews creates $11 million in cap space. It's the second biggest number on the roster behind Marlon Humphrey. So knowing that this is a what have you done for me lately league, and the fact that Mark Andrews did drop that ball and did have that fumble that was so costly, combined with the salary cap. And I don't think we're having this conversation if that doesn't happen and the Ravens go on to win that game. But with that salary cap, with those moments, it has combined to the point where we could see something happening from DeCosta. Now, it's interesting why he even brings this point up. And to make moves during the draft would be uncommon for this organization, especially if truly the Brown deal did go down at the start of the draft week rather than draft night itself. But it's important to consider also how Mark Andrews has been a face of this franchise, what he's done, and how he has still been a solid contributor even with the rise of Isaiah Likely. If we look at Andrews' stats, we can see how truly reliable he is per game, averaging 40 yards a game, and also he's in the prime of his career, and he might have several more good years after this as well. Tight ends have been known to stretch their careers late into their 30s. If you look at what Kelsey has done, if you look at what Gronkowski has done, if you even look at like someone like Tony Gonzalez, they played into their 30s. So with this in mind, what do you think the Ravens should do? Do you think they should trade for a pick on draft night? Do you feel like they should cut Andrews altogether and just cut that cap loss out? Or do you think they should keep Andrews around, maintaining him as one of the cornerstones of this franchise, even with the rise of Isaiah Likely? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.